Hello everyone, welcome to Chicken Little, and now we're playing as Abby, and look at that face. Just look at those eyes. Just, it's scary. A little spooky there. So, yeah, this is Alien Abby. This is the name of the level, and, Abby can't attack or do anything cool. She can just hop and fly, and now we are in the Alien Spaceship, and this is where this game gets a little nutty, pun both intended and not intended. And this is the level that I could never beat when I was a child. Fun fact. This is the part that I got stuck on every time that I played this game when I was a kid, and I don't even remember what part of the level gave me so much trouble. Like, I've completed it twice now, including this video, and truly do not know what was giving me so much grief in this level when I was younger, or which part I couldn't get past. I believe it's just the final bit of it, and it's one of the bits where you're inside of the alien suit, I guess you should call it, because, I mean, the things that you probably didn't see because it was sped up, but in the clip from the film where you saw the aliens with the long spindly legs and the egg-shaped heads, those aren't what the aliens actually look like. Spoilers. They have their own bodies and they're inside those things, and you get to go in one of those a little bit later in this level to do stuff. And it always just gave me a hard time, and I don't know what it was about it. I think I was just shitty at games. I mean, I kind of still am, but even more so when I was a kid. You know, what else is new? Story of my life. I'm glad now that I can redeem myself publicly in front of everyone. I can play all of these video games that I played all the time when I was a kid and that I liked a lot, and that, you know, if anyone asked me, I would say that I'm, like, pretty knowledgeable about them, but just for some reason, either halfway or almost to the end of it, just couldn't get past it. And that's literally the case for almost every one of these licensed games that I've done, I've realized. It was true for Battle for Bikini Bottom, it was true for the movie game, it was true for Lights, Camera, Pants, it was true for Creature from the Krusty Krab, it was true for Over the Hedge. I don't think it was true for Open Season. I did manage to beat that one. I just usually didn't play it all the way to the end because I just didn't really like the whole game. I would just get bored after a while. Once the levels stop being mostly of just like letting you throw Elliot at things and like throw the animals around, I don't really like. I just didn't give a shit when I was a kid. I guess I beat the Madagascar game. I beat the B-movie game, which I haven't done yet, but I probably will play that game at some point. I'm trying to think of other ones that I did. I mean, I did finish Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, but that wasn't like a game I really grew up with in my childhood. I mean, I was a child when I first played it. I was probably like 11 or 12, but it's older than Battle for Bikini Bottom, but I didn't actually even know about it or play it until a long time after. But yeah, and it was true for this game, and probably a bunch of other games that I'm not thinking of right now that I both either have LP'd already or plan to at some point, or have talked about. And yeah, no exception here. So, but yeah, I'm glad that I can redeem myself now. I'm sure my younger self would be very pleased with me that I finally mastered these games and have a record of it on YouTube. I'm not even joking. I mean, it's very stupid sounding, but I mean, I probably would, younger me probably would have actually, like, felt good to hear that. Anyway, this is pretty much what this level is. It's, you know, when you're not playing as Abby and you're in the alien suit, you're just, zapping things, picking up boxes and throwing them, and hitting buttons to open the doors. It's pretty standard stuff. I will say this is pretty neat, like, now that I'm not, like, being frustrated by it, and I can actually, like, do all of this fairly easily. Like, I don't really find this to be a super difficult level. It's certainly a step up in difficulty from the rest of the game so far, and obviously it's, like, a completely different set of game mechanics than what you've been doing. And that's kind of how a lot of licensed games from the 2000s operate, I've found, and this game especially, I would say, is that very rarely, I think Battle for Bikini Bottom is one of the rare examples where, I mean, there is, like, other stuff to do, there's, like, sliding and whatnot, but, like, for the most part, every, and like, the boss levels, but for the most part, every section of the game, sort of, it follows the same sort of mechanics, and it's more of a, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's more of a unified experience, for lack of a better term, whereas a lot of other licensed games just seem to be like a smorgasbord of types of things, and there are, like, usually platforming, but there's, you know, some sort of core thing to it, such as the Chicken Little platforming levels in this game, and then, like, the main platforming levels in something like the movie game, but otherwise, like, it's a lot of just, like, different game types and, like, mini games and stuff. Once you get into something like the Barnyard video game, where it's, like, entirely mini games, a lot of licensed games just went that route. The B-movie game is like that as well, but I would say that one's a little bit more unified because it has, like, the hub world that is sort of the unifier for everything, and then like, most of the levels still follow a general sort of progression, but there are just a lot of, like, mini games and other, and, like, little QuickTime event sequences and stuff like that, and so, and, like, by no means am I opposed to variety. I just think it's an interesting thing that seems to be true across a lot of these types of games that came out around this time. And I didn't even notice while I was playing this how big, like, this, you know, big acorn pipe zone is. It's pretty neat looking. And I gotta say, I think I was starting to say at the end of the last one, I can't really say much of, you know, in the way of praise for, like, this movie's visual style. I mean, it was, you know, it was like the first theatrical computer animated Disney Animation Studios movie, other than Dinosaur, but one that sort of stuck more to the traditional Disney style, but just translated to computer animation. And I mean, the quality of the animation for 2005 isn't all that bad, but I just don't think the design of many of the things is, like, particularly interesting looking. But I will say I always really liked how the aliens looked. The egg-shaped thing and the long spindly legs with the, like, blades on the end. I thought that those were really cool. I always was a fan of, I've talked about this before, of being a big fan as a kid in animated stuff of, like, mechanically, things. I don't know how else to say it. Like Robots, I was obsessed with that movie when it came out because I loved all the different, I loved the design of all the different machines, both the actual robot characters and then the environments that are also, like, robots in themselves. And like, Flushed Away was another one, because they have a bunch of, like, gadgets made out of, you know, trash and things, and, like, household objects. Wallace and Gromit, the movie doesn't have too much. I mean, it does because the main character is, like, an inventor, so there is some of it, but not so much, like, as a, you know, like, an aesthetic theme in the movie. It's more just, like, you know, just props that come up in certain scenes. But the Wallace and Gromit movie, when the promotional stuff for that, they had these, like, I think it was Burger King had these toys that were supposed to be based off of Wallace's inventions, and my favorite one was the grabber thing. I loved grabber toys when I was a kid, like the dinosaur ones. I fucked with those a lot. I annoyed a lot of adults with those in my day, but I just thought it was cool to have a little gizmo that could grab shit. But they had a bunch of, like Wallace gadget toy things. There's also Inspector Gadget, I think for the second one. Or maybe it was just toys, like Inspector Gadget toys that I had, but they had cool thing. I don't know, I was just into shit like that as a child, and so these aliens were cool alien inventions. Alien designs. Same thing for, like, Rise of the Underminer. I've talked about that before. And, like, Incredibles 1, honestly, because the Omnidroid, which also is, like, a circular thing with long legs with blades on the end, that was something, like, I don't know, when I was a kid, and whenever I would, like, try to imagine some, like, big scary robot in, like, when I was playing, or when I was imagining a movie or whatever, it would usually end up being something similar to something that I've seen. And the Omnidroid in Incredibles and the aliens in this, and a lot of stuff in robots, when I was thinking of, like, mechanical or alien, like, machinery, those were some of the ones that came to mind. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but just that this shit was cool to me when I was a child. So, while we're in an alien spaceship, one thing that I wanted to talk about, which I have talked about a little bit before, both in videos and on stream, is UFO stuff, and my admittedly pretty cursory interest in it. Like, I fancy myself not an enthusiast, but, you know, someone who finds UFO stuff interesting and alien stuff interesting. Not that I think most, like, well-known UFO stories and conspiracy theories are necessarily true, but I think it's interesting as a cultural phenomenon, and I think it's interesting as a concept because I fundamentally, like, believe in, like, the existence of aliens on, like, a statistical level. I mean, it just seems more likely than not. I've talked about, like, the Fermi Paradox before, I think in my BioShock Infinite LP, which is the paradox of, like, there are so many worlds in the universe, and, like, however many of them are estimated to, like, be able to now or at one point support life. And, you know, extrapolate that out, there should be so and so many worlds that could potentially have, like, intelligent life of human-level intelligence or above. And so, like, but assuming that a civilization of that intelligence existed, why is there no sign of them? And there are a bunch of different explanations for that paradox, and I've talked about them before, I'm not going to go into it now, but that sort of thing is the sort of crux of the idea of why aliens are interesting to me, because it's one of those things that, like, could very well be a thing, and honestly, I'm more open to the idea of aliens, like, having been around. And when I say aliens, I literally just mean any form of extraterrestrial life. I don't necessarily mean, like, intelligent or much less, like, hostile life, specifically. But it's something cool, and, like, Liv and I have been watching The X-Files lately. We just started on Season 2, and been really enjoying that. She's really into, like, detective shows and, like, police procedurals. Like, she really likes SVU. And I don't mind those shows. I've watched, you know, a good bit of them with her and everything, but they're not really exactly my kind of, like, I wouldn't really watch them on my own. But X-Files has, like, the supernatural / sci-fi element, which is nice. So it kind of scratches both itches. And not everything in it is explicitly related to aliens, but there's a lot of it, and the main sort of conspiracy that the two main characters become embroiled in at the end of the first season very much deals with, like, the government's relationship with the existence of aliens and various paranormal things. And I don't know, just in general, it's a good show. Before I keep going, I'll say something about this real quick. Yeah, Runt has his head stuck in a bucket. It's basically like the hallway level at the beginning of the game, where you're Chicken Little in the hallway, in the bucket. Jumping over those little, thingies is a little bit annoying because you can't always tell exactly when you're over them, and it's very easy to get hurt, and it's very easy to die in this, and it took me many tries, as you can see. So I show just a little bit here, and then I cut around just to show me getting all of the baseball cards, and then I just show the last full thing, because you have to do, there's no checkpoint, so you have to do the entire thing without dying. And I suck, and I mean, I've only played this one other time before this, and it was on stream the first time that I beat the Alien Abbey level. So, yeah. But anyway, with regard to what I said about being open to the idea of aliens having been around, or maybe even having visited Earth earlier in time, what I don't think is the shit that's on the show Ancient Aliens, which is another show that I've watched a little bit of lately. Not nearly as much as X-Files, because every episode is 90 minutes long. Like, what the fuck? And there's like 20 seasons of the show with a bunch of episodes each, and I truly do not know how they have managed to pad out that much, like, time with stuff about how supposedly everything about ancient civilizations was done by aliens. And I talked about this a little bit on stream recently, but I wanted to say it again, which is that Ancient Aliens is really stupid, and it's very disappointing as someone who enjoys, like, skeptic and conspiracy theory stuff, even if I don't believe most of it. But it's like anti-critical thinking, like, it's anti-curiosity, really, because it poses, like, the dumbest and most complicated explanation for a gap in information, and treats that as, like, the most probable truth. Like, almost every, like, crazy archaeological or architectural anomaly or achievement that they find from ancient times, that they're like, how could this possibly, like, the precision that you can only do it with, like, you can barely do it with the instruments and tools of today's science. How could they do this thousands of years ago? They always admit, like, either people just worked really hard on it for many years, or aliens gave them the technology. And it's like, yeah, why would they, you know, like, put effort and time into, you know, making this sacred, you know, piece of architecture that's supposed to embody everything about their spiritual life and their culture? It's just very silly to me, and that's why I couldn't really get into it, even though I wanted to, like, get into a dumb TV show. Anyway, next time we're doing more alien stuff, so maybe I'll talk about more alien stuff. See you then for that.